As we've been seeing, there is an enormous logistical operation underway and it comes with a mammoth security undertaking. My next guest served as a Royal Protection Officer for Her Majesty from 2006 to 2013. And he says the upcoming state funeral will be the biggest policing operation in UK history. He joins me now. Simon Morgan, thank you for your time. Firstly, before we get into the security undertaking, can you tell me a little bit about your role as a police protection officer and what your responsibilities look like in ensuring the Queen's safety?
Good evening, Rita. Yes, as a close protection officer of the Queen, I was part of a large team that was responsible for her personal safety when she left the safety of royal palaces. So you're very much with them for long periods of the day, and you're working exceptionally hard at all times with the weight of responsibility on your shoulders, knowing exactly why you're there, what you have to do. But yes, it was a fantastic time and a great point in my police career.
Did you have many security scares in that role? Were there times where you were particularly worried about the safety of the Queen?
I mean, you always have that in your mind, and everything you are working towards that, making sure that everything is safe. But you do work towards it. You do have a tremendous amount of time to put preparation in place so that, ultimately you are preparing that nothing does go wrong. So you are afforded the time. You work with other stakeholders, both here in the UK and globally. So yes, it's always in the back of your mind, but you are very confident in the operation that you and your colleagues have put in place. But yes, it's a weight of responsibility.
Oh, such an enormous responsibility. And you're saying that this funeral, the state funeral we're going to see, is going to be the biggest operation in the history of the Metropolitan Police. Why is that? Can you explain why that is and what the police must get right?
Yes, it's going to be the biggest policing operation in UK history, and certainly the weight of responsibility falls to the Metropolitan Police Service. The Bridges plans are well known, and certainly with regards to London Bridge, this has been a plan that has been worked through for many years. It's now coming to fruition, and it now has to be delivered as a reality. With regards to the Queen passing away in Scotland, that's added another dimension to that plan, and Queen is currently being kind of taken to Edinburgh, where she's going to kind of lie in state. So police in Scotland have a massive role to play in this. But you're looking at a scenario. Yes, you see the logistics. You're looking at a scenario whereby nothing can go wrong because the eyes of the world are currently on that policing operation. They're currently on that hearse. And you're also looking that when you come to the day of the funeral, we are going to have some of the most important people in the world. President Joe Biden's already signaled that he's to the funeral, so you have a very large security operation with regards to the mourners that are coming, and then you have a very large public safety operation as well, because people are going to descend on London to pay their respects. We saw it with regards to the funeral of the Princess of Wales and how many people came there. And lots of these plans have not been delivered in their entirety, but various elements of it have been delivered over time. So lots of the planners will see now how that all fits. Talk about the funeral of the Princess of Wales and the funeral of the Queen Mother, the wedding at Westminster Abbey of the now Prince and Princesses of Wales, the former Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, and indeed lots of other events that we have in London on an annual basis, Trooping of the Colour, State Opening of Parliament. All these little facets fit into grand plans. They have been tested, but certainly not at the level that they're going to be tested a week on Monday.
What will be the biggest fears here? Is it that the world leaders are all going to be descending to the one spot, or is it the large crowds? What is going to be the thing that keeps the police chiefs up at night?
It's going to be both those issues, because the connotations that you have of anything going wrong for this event, could, without wishing change history. So, you've really got to be kind of on your game. And from a policing perspective, you just don't want anything to go wrong because, as you stand there as UK policing, we have a lot of experience at these events. So, the pressure is very much on, but it's both elements that you stated are going to keep police commanders up at night for the next 7 days.
And just going back to your role with the Queen, you were with her for several years, protecting her. Have you got any fond personal memories of Her Majesty that you might be willing to share with the audience?
It was the Queen was a fantastic principal. She fully understood why you as a protection officer and your colleagues were there. She'd had it all her life. And whilst our job was to work in and around the Queen, actually, lots of the time, the Queen worked in and around us because she would know if we weren't happy with something or if we wanted to go in a certain kind of way. She fully understood our non-verbal communications, the positions that we took up. So as a principal, she was fantastic, extremely personable, extremely witty. I remember an occasion in Balmoral when the Queen went out for a picnic. And as I opened the door, she was telling her guests, clearly explaining why she had police officers with her. And she was just saying, yes, and they even count the corgis out, which right on cue, one of my colleagues at the rear of the vehicle was indeed counting the corgis out, 1, 2, 3, 4. And she just smiled at the guest and said, I told you. So, extremely sharp-witted as well and exceptionally aware of everything that was going on. And at times, whilst you would naturally think you're having extremely highbrow conversation about, geopolitics, sometimes you're just talking about the weather, going to rain and are we going to be able to get back to the castle before we're soaking wet? You have to have that rapport as a protection officer because if you don't get that rapport, you don't get that level of trust because as with all principals, they're trusting you to do your job when you need to do it.
And you talked about her quick wit, and we're finding out just what a sense of humour she had, what a prankster she was. Did you see any of that? Because some of the stories about her playing jokes it's just beautiful. It gives a real insight to the type of woman she was and just how she related to other people.
Absolutely. From a personal perspective, my first tour of Balmoral, again, another picnic which was very popular with the royal family, and the Queen kind of came to me and she was about to leave and she said, are you going to follow me? And I kind of thought, well, pretty much so, because that's our job and that's what we should be doing. But all of a sudden I had this momentary doubt that perhaps, on this occasion I shouldn't. And, she looked at me and I looked at her and I said, well, I think we will. And she said, well, are you sure? And that even brought more doubt into my mind. And I thought, right, this is one of those career-defining moments. And I said, yes, we will be followed. I said, that's a really good idea. But, for a young officer within that department, very much thinking, is this going to be the end of my career in royalty protection if I don't get this right?
She was just testing you, Simon.
Absolutely.
She was just testing you and you passed the test. You passed the test because you were with her for absolutely. Simon Morgan, thank you so much for joining. We've run out of time.